Welcome to this week's episode of Under the Rock. I'm your hoster with the moster, Alexander Chan.
And I'm Grace Catania, and we're taking over giving you the latest and greatest news.
Oh my god, I was almost late for the filming of this episode. I had to run all the way from Radburn in under a minute.
It couldn't have been as long as the 4K at midnight on New Year's. Here's Justice at the news desk with that story and more.
My name is Justice Smith, and I'll be covering the recent news in the Glen Rock High School. On New Year's Eve, many people came together at the Rock and put together an unofficial 4K. They started their run at the Rock, then to the high school, and then they went back. They definitely had an exhilarating start to their new year. On January 7th, the Glen Rock Jewish Center hosted a jazz concert. There were appearances by Ken Karsh, Jimmy McGriff, Bobby McFerrin, Bernadette Peters, and a plethora of other artists. Samuel Fishman, who organized the night, said, "There will be music in the style of swing, Latin, and bebop. There will also be arrangements of songs by Aretha Franklin, the Beatles, and Billy Joel. The Glen Rock Jewish Center will feel like a New York jazz club for one night only." In other news, a hurricane hit the southern areas of the U.S. in September, and it caused major destruction. In Naples, Florida, Laley High School got hit by the storm, and our school has decided to adopt the high school and make donations to help them. They're now under the rock. While the students of GRHS were enjoying a 3-day break, there was a pipe burst in the school. You may have noticed the absence of heat in the C-Wing classrooms, but that has now been repaired. Coming up on January 23rd, midterm exams will begin. There will be testing Tuesday and through Friday. Good luck to all the students who will be taking those, including myself. Congrats to the robotics teams for earning their first win at the Wayne Valley Western Wrangle competition. They have been working very hard, so it is now well deserved. Already getting ready for the spring sports, all students who would like to participate in spring sports or the weight room, athletics forms will be collected outside the cafeteria on February 8th and 13th during high school lunch for students only, and immediately after school. Please do not forget to bring all necessary paperwork, and if you have any questions, ask the athletic trainer. That's all I have at the news desk. Back to you, Grace and Alex.
Thanks, Justice. Speaking of handing in the sports forms this spring, are you going to do any athletics this season?
Of course not. Who do you think I am? Well, for other people who might be interested, let's go to Matt and Mike at the sports desk to see what they have to say about finishing off the winter season.
Welcome back to Under the Rock Sports Desk. I'm Matt Sapoff.
And I'm Michael Lee.
There's been a lot of sports news going on recently.
Girls basketball team has been red hot, winning 3 out of their last 4 games and sitting atop the NJIC Colonial Division. On Friday, January 19th, the girls team was defeated by Ridgewood by a score of 60-23.
The boys basketball team is 2-8 after suffering many tough losses.
Boys wrestling is up 10-4, recently defeating Hawthorne, Indian Hills, Lakeland, Parsippany, and Beckton.
The hockey team is 8-7-1, and their next game is against Ramsey, January 27th.
The winter track team has captured the NJIC Indoor Track and Field Championship.
Coach Luckenbill told NJ.com, Andrew Lagatuda, Joe McCabe, and Bryce Fisher gave us everything they had, and they wanted to do more. Also, the boys 4x200 relay placed 7th in Group 1. Senior Kyle Patel also placed 2nd in varsity shot put, along with junior Karina Rose taking 2nd in shot put.
Congrats to the winter track team on a fantastic season so far.
The bowling team is also having a great season, currently holding a record of 2-0.
This has been Under the Rock Sports Desk with Michael Lee
and Matt Sapoff.
Too bad there's not a girls wrestling team. I would love to learn how to take someone down.
Well, the senior girls were able to take a class and learn just that. Here's Emily Pensick's story on this program, Stilettos and Self Defense.
In a time where women all over the country have been coming forward with sexual assault allegations against successful men such as Harvey Weinstein and Matt Lauer, the need for self-defense for young women is greater than it has ever been before. Some may argue that it is even greater for college women. According to the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, 1 in 5 women are sexually assaulted while in college, and 90% of these cases go unreported. With these dangers in mind, Mr. Arlotta has contacted personal trainer Jennifer Cassetta to teach the senior class moves and tips in her program called Stilettos and Self Defense.
As you may know, self-defense is part of our health and physical education curriculum for senior girls, but it's kind of a real one-off type thing, and I think the girls need a little more information than that. So we started by bringing some local people in, and those were okay. But one day I just happened to be watching the Today Show, and I happened to see this woman on there, Jennifer Cassetta, and I was like, that's exactly what we're looking for, somebody like that. And I contacted her, and lo and behold, one thing led to another, and we were able to bring her here a couple of years ago.
Jennifer Cassetta is not only a personal trainer, but a nutritionist, author, TV personality, and self-defense expert. With her background beginning more than 10 years ago in a martial art called Hapkido, Jennifer has been able to use the foundations of her martial art to teach women all across the country how to defend themselves.
Hapkido is a Korean-style martial art. Hap stands for harmonize, Ki is your life force energy, and Do is the way. So literally it translates to the way of harmonizing your life force energy. It's a beautiful martial art, but it's also very deadly, if you will, and it really concentrates on self-defense in lots of different ways. I was training in Hapkido for 10 years total, but I would say in year 7 or 8, many women in my world, so that were not in the martial arts school, but colleagues and friends of colleagues and friends of friends would come up to me and start saying like, wow, you're so into this. I don't want to do all of that, but can you just teach me self-defense? And a lot of those women had weird street encounters or basically unsafe situations where they felt they were vulnerable and thought to themselves like, what would I do if this escalated? And that's when they started asking me for a self-defense class. So I put my first one together with the help of my martial arts teacher at the time, and he kind of ran it, but I got everyone there, and then I was like, he empowered me to really start doing it myself. And that's when Stilettos and Self Defense was born, and I've been teaching those classes ever since.
As Stilettos and Self Defense gained national recognition on daytime talk shows like The Today Show and The Real, why did Jennifer Cassetta feel it was important to begin teaching these classes at the high school level?
So I first taught Stilettos and Self-Defense to women in the workplace, and then I started taking it to college campuses because I realized there was a huge need there, considering 1 in 4 college women will be the victim of a sexual assault. And then I started doing that for a few years, and women would come up to me afterwards and tell me their stories of being either assaulted or close to it. And I started to realize that this programming could actually be way more helpful to women before they get to college. So that's when I started to connect with Principal Arlotta and other principals that I'm trying to work with in the future.
In a world where women all over the country have been coming out against successful men, and in a time during socialist movements like Me Too or Time's Up, Stilettos and Self Defense became not only extremely relatable, but very educational to the senior girls as well. The statistic that 1 in 5 women will be sexually harassed at some point in their collegiate education will hopefully become smaller as a result of these classes and knowledge.
Wow, I can't wait till senior year so I can kick some butt.
You know who else kicks butt? The new English teacher, Miss Crooks. Not too many people know about her, so Evan Klein made a piece giving us a window into her story at Glen Rock High School.
My name is Miss Crooks, and I teach English. My inspiration to be a teacher, I can't really trace back. I feel like I've just always wanted to be a teacher. I had a really great first grade teacher, and then I had a chalkboard in my basement, I remember, and I used to just make fake class lists, and from there it's always been my plan. My first teaching job was in Madison, New Jersey, in Morris County. It was at a Catholic middle school, and it was fun. It was a good experience, and then I moved to Ridgewood Middle School, and that's where I was for about 6 months. Then I came here. I've loved teaching in Glen Rock so far. The students have been really welcoming, great kids in every class, and it's been fun. And also the teachers. I feel like as soon as I got here, I felt like part of the English department immediately, and that's been a great experience. Teaching philosophy, well, English is hard because the students may not relate to every book that we're doing. So I think one thing that I really try and do is build that connection to the literature that we're reading. So a connection between, say, Macbeth, which the students maybe don't always enjoy, to their own lives, and see why are we still reading the books that we're reading? Why are they still relevant? I definitely think it's important to form a mutual respect with the students, so they know that so they feel comfortable in my class, so they feel comfortable coming to me if they need help. I think that's one of the most important things. Also, let them know that I'm here for them. This is my job, is to teach them, and I want them to be as engaged and interested in the material, and also get the most that they can out of it and make sure everything is purposeful. So I think forming that relationship with the students, that mutual respect, will help them know that everything I'm doing does have a purpose and that I am here for them. I think replacing Miss Camarado was one of the hardest parts of this job. Like you said, she is so beloved still, and I felt nervous, and I still do. I think it'll take a long time for me to be as wonderful as she is at this job, but it also gives me a nice goal to reach, some motivation to reach that status. I think in some time maybe I will. It's a good, I don't know, I guess I don't want to be corny and say that she's inspirational, but I think that just the fact that she was so loved and she was so good at what she did really set a goal for me. Coming in halfway through the year in a high school is difficult. I think it's a big change, not only for me but also for students, and I think the challenge of not only acclimating to a new place but also teaching a lot of material that I haven't taught before and getting to know students in such a short period of time was difficult. But I think Glen Rock made it such a smooth transition for me that I couldn't have asked for a better school to do that in. And I think it's tough, I think, for everyone, but I think it went well. It was hard, but it ended up being okay. It ended up being good. One of my favorite things about teaching is every day is I know this sounds corny, but it's like a brand new day. Every day is different. It's not like your typical office job where you go in at 9 o'clock and you sit at a desk all day. I think here there's so many unique personalities and there are so many different things that I do differently each day. So I think that's my favorite part about teaching. It really allows me to be creative, and it allows me to interact with great people every day. And I think that's one of my favorite things about teaching, is it's not monotonous at all.
Well, that wraps up this week's episode of Under the Rock. Again, I'm Grace.
And I'm Alex, and we hope to see you next week.